day 10, guys, of our 21-day yoga challenge, moving better to feel better. Hopefully, by now, we are starting to feel a little bit more limber in our bodies. A little bit more movement going on always makes us feel a little bit better. So today's practice is going to be based around forward folds, and you may well need a strap and something to elevate the hips on, so your blanket or your block that you know now that you need to sit on for those hips. So grab those, and then we're going to come and get down into our Shavasana, so our laying down pose, please. Forward folds tend to be more calming, more grounding, more meditative kind of postures. As we fold inwards, that action is generally more closed in, so it's a really lovely place to reflect, self-reflection, and do maybe a little bit of that inner work looking inwards. So for now, bring yourself into your Shavasana, allowing the feet to fall wide, bringing the arms to the side of the body with the palms open but not quite touching, and allowing yourself a few seconds to fidget and adjust where we need to. Releasing some of that tension, allowing the shoulders to maybe nestle into the mat a little bit, unclenching any tight jaws or any frowns, and just allowing ourselves some time to arrive in this space, to arrive on the mat. Although physically our body is here, mentally it might take a moment or two to catch up, and we're going to allow the mind the space to do that. Once your body feels just a tiny bit more relaxed, maybe the mind stopped racing so much, take a breath in, and as you breathe out in any way, allow your body to just relax. And then from here, we're going to start to move into that yogic breath, the 3-part yogic breath. So as and when you feel ready, start to inhale into your chest, into your ribs, and into your belly. Feeling the full expansion, and then enjoying the relaxing, calming element that comes with that lovely, slow and controlled exhalation. Inhale, filling up the lungs, breathing into that space, and exhale, surrendering with the breath, letting go and softening. Continue to breathe fully, consciously aware of the breath in, and definitely aware of that breath all the way back out again. Sit and rest here for a few moments as you connect to the breath a little bit longer. On your next exhalation, can you allow your shoulders and your jaw to relax Just a further 2% more. And then we're going to very slowly just start to circle the ankles and the wrists. And then very slowly we're going to pull the knees in towards us. Just gently hugging the thighs in, not forcing them. Gently swaying softly from one side to the other. And then we're going to extend our legs up the wall. While the legs up the wall, we're going to point and flex the feet a few times just to wake the ankles and the toes up a little more. But this is also a similar action to a lot of the forward folds that we're going to take today. So our forward folds are going to be very opening for the back of the body, so the backs of the legs, but all the way along the back up into the shoulders potentially. Once you've taken a few times flexing and extending there a couple of times, we're going to just pause, seeing if we can bring these legs in a little bit tighter without that tailbone lifting. Then we're going to rock ourselves up and to our cross-legged seated position, using your block here if you need that slight elevation for your hips. So from here, we're going to inhale, reach the arms up. And as you exhale, putting the hands down to the heart space, we're going to walk the hands forward and just fold simply over our crossed legs. Feel how this starts to open around the lower back into the shoulders as we take just 3 breaths here. 1, 2, and 3. We're going to then walk the hands back up towards the body. Now, how you have sat is going to be the way that your body will instinctively know is easier for you. So what we're going to do is uncross the legs and recross them, and it might feel a little bit peculiar. And then we're going to slowly just fold forward, melt over the legs again, except this side we're going to hold for 2 breaths longer. 1, 2. On your exhalations, can you walk the hands out a little bit further? 3, 4, and last one. Seeing if we can just melt those hands forward just to the last breath. And then we're going to walk the hands back up. We're going to take the legs out in front of us now. I need my break for this one. And we're going to go for Baddha Konasana. So I've showed you this before, so let me show you side on. And we're going to have the knees bent, feet come together and the knees go wide. Now traditionally this posture is used to help open up the hips and the inside edges, the inside of the legs, and yeah, it's definitely going to do that for us. But you can choose how you take this. The closer in you bring your heels, the more intense that's going to feel on the inside edges of the hips and the legs. The further out you take the legs, as you fold forwards, you'll feel a bit more of a stretch in the lower back space. So play around, see if you like the heels slightly closer or slightly further, and then just allowing that chest to melt forwards. Relaxing into the pose. Leave the pose with your heart centre. Try not to poke the chin out, as it just brings tension into the neck. And you should maybe feel a bit of an opening around the outside edges here. Couple more breaths. And then when you're ready, we're going to inhale, lift up nice and slowly. Bring the knees in, soles of the feet to the mat. We're going to bring the hands behind us for a reverse tabletop. When you're ready, press into the feet, into the hand, inhale. We're just going to counteract that forward fold, lifting up through the hips. As you exhale, we're going to come back down, and you may want to stay on your block, and you may well need your strap now. We're going to come into Paschimottanasana, or seated forward bend, and we're going to smooth the fleshy bits out of the way from the bony bits, let those settle, and then flex into the feet. So as you reach the arms up, you'll notice we've already been in this position when we were laying down on our mats. So a lot of the time in our folds, we think we have to touch the toes, and we don't. And if I don't bend my knees, then it's all good, right? Not necessarily. So if I choose not to bend my knees and I fold here, you can see my spine is very round and not very nice really. So what we want to do is make sure we fold from this part here. And so in order for me to do that, I'm going to lead with my chest and fold from my hips. And at that point, when I can't go any more into my hips, I'm going to then bend into my knees a little bit, keeping the feet flexed, and allow my chest to then bow over the thighs. You can by all means then take your hands to your feet. You could press the hands into the mat either side of your shins, or you could use your handy strap, take it around the ball of the feet, keeping the elbows quite soft, shoulders relaxed, and then breath by breath, maybe just walking the hands forward and finding a deeper stretch through the backs of your legs. So now we've found a variation. Well, hopefully you have 5 breaths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Last one, so you can melt in for that last breath, and then you can release out when you are ready. We don't need our strap for a moment, so you can just pop that out of the way. And we're going to come up, over, and onto all fours. Once we're on our all fours, we're going to come straight into our child's pose. And our child's pose is that resting pose. Knees are wide usually, toes together, and hips sink down. If you prefer to bring your knees in, then feel free to do that. We're going to just sink into this child's pose for a few breaths, because essentially it is another forward fold. Notice the spaces that you feel are opening in your body in this posture. Breathe in and relax as you exhale. Breathe in. Give yourself permission to soften and relax. One more breath. And then when you're ready, you can press into the hands. Inhale, lifting the hips, tucking the toes under and sending the hips back and up into our downward dog. So downward dog is actually a little bit of a fold. It mimics the similar alignment to our legs up the wall pose in our Paschimottanasana. And just breathing into the backs of the legs, into the shoulders, or anywhere else that you require a little bit of extra love. And then looking ahead, making our way to the front of the mat. We're going to come into our ragdoll forward fold first, so bending into the knees, allowing the head to be heavy and allowing lots of lovely length into the back and into the neck. Feel free to sway from side to side. Some people prefer to hang still, and it's entirely your preference. If If you want to let your fingertips dangle on the mat, you can. Or we're going to just hang here. Few more breaths. Inhale. As you exhale, can you feel that ragdoll get a little heavier? I'm going to roll this one up nice and slowly, one vertebrae at a time. Once we're up, roll the shoulders back. Then we're going to inhale, reach the arms up. As we exhale, we're going to bend the elbows, lift the chest, lift the chin and lift the gaze. Close the palms together. Inhale, open the arms, lift the chest. Exhale, close. Once more. From here, fold it back down. This time we're going to go to hand to toe variation. So just like our seated, if we need to bend the knees to allow the chest and the belly to rest onto the thighs, then that is what we do. If we take the elbows out wide, that feels quite nice, but it also feels quite nice to then wrap these bent elbows in towards the shins, just to round off those shoulder blades. Another 2 breaths. 1. As you exhale, can your hips lift a little higher, so a little bit more room to move into. 1 more breath. Releasing the toes now. Inhale, reaching all the way back up. Exhaling in to our mini standing back bend. Pausing. Now I'm going to take you to a different fold. If you don't like this one, you can take one of the first 2. So either the ragdoll or hand to toe. If not, we're going to come all the way down and we're going to bring the palms underneath the balls of your feet. Shift the weight towards the toes and allow the shoulders to draw back away from the ears. Breathing, aware of the space in the body or the tightness in the body. Just pay attention to anything that's going on within the physical form. Notice how you inhale deeply, the muscles in the back of the ribs start to expand. And how lovely it is when you exhale and feel all of that soften and melt. From here, releasing these hands again. Then we're going to keep your right foot where it is and we're going to step your left foot to the back of the mat. Going to then bend into the right knee, but keep the chest forwards and up. If you find having the hands to the mat is a little bit too far out, you can lift up onto your bricks if you need to. From here, as you exhale, going to lengthen the right leg, and it doesn't have to be straight either, just to bring the chest in towards the thigh. Then move with your breath. Inhale to drop into the front knee and in the hip. Exhaling as we lengthen and tuck chest to thigh. As we lengthen, just have a little pause here. Breathe. Notice the opening on the back of the right leg. 1 more breath and then we're going to step this into what we call pyramid. We're going to then step your left foot in so that it grounds. The heel is down and so some might need to adjust a little bit narrower, some will be wider, but play, see which alignment best works for you. Inhale, coming all the way up, which is going to be quite a nice release for that right leg for a moment. And as you exhale, bring the hands to the heart centre. Take a breath, anchor into the left foot as we bow down and bring the chest parallel to the ground. Inhale. If you wish, we can extend the arms out. And then exhaling as we melt down for this pyramid. Breathe into the pose. And then we're going to ground into your left hand, again using your brick if you need to. Right arm is going to open up into a twisted pyramid, just for a breath. Exhale it straight back out again. And then we did this pose in our balancing sequence. We're going to press the weight into the right foot and allow the left leg to float. Tuck the chest in towards that right thigh, and then exhale, bring your left foot to meet your right. Inhale, coming all the way up. Exhaling into your standing back bend, folding the hands back down to the ground. Left foot stays as the right foot steps back into our lunge, keeping the hands down. Chest pulls forward and up as we bend into the knee. Exhaling as we lengthen that left leg. Bend half forward and up. Exhale back into the pyramid or extended pyramid. Notice how this side feels as a comparison to the other side, but try not to judge your better or worse side. Just get to know yourself better. Let the chest melt in. 3, 2. Let that right foot step into our pyramid. Adjust the right heel accordingly. Inhale, coming all the way up. This time we're going to bring the hands behind us to take the half fold. Exhale, bring the chest parallel to the ground. Breathe. Exhale, let the chest melt even further, and then we're going to drop the hands down to ground. Press into the right hands. Left side opens into our twisted pyramids. Really anchor into the right heel as you twist here. Exhale, bring it back down and frame the foot. Bringing the weight into the left leg as you take the right leg into your standing split. Chest melts in towards that left thigh. Take another breath. And then bring the right foot down to meet your left. Inhale all the way up. Exhaling as you cactus the arms and lean back into the pose, pausing. Exhale, hands to the ground. Step or jump your way into your plank pose. And again, popping onto the knees and taking the hips low into your child's pose. Allow your breathing to regulate. Make sure it's not going off on its own tangent. From here, we're going to walk the hands back up, come back to our seated position. We're going to take another fold, and again, it might require something underneath your hips. Now, over time, you won't need as many of these props to elevate the hips for seated poses, but never be ashamed of using props because they actually enhance our practice, and actually they can, a lot of the time, make poses harder for us. So don't ever see it as, oh, I'm a failure if I have to use these. Absolutely not. See it as you understand your body and so you know what your body needs. So from here, we're going to take our left leg out nice and long and to bend the right knee and bring the right foot to the inside of that thigh. The left leg is going to stay working, so we're going to inhale, sit tall. As we exhale, we're going to fold over this left leg now. You could always use your strap here if you wanted to. You could press into the mat, keeping the foot flexed. Make sure that we keep the back of the leg awake rather than moving into a passive range, which we will do at some point, but that's just a different style of yoga. Now as you inhale, lift out ever so slightly. Then when you're ready for the exhalation, let that chest melt back in. And then we're going to slowly lift up. We're going to pause and then we're going to go back into the same side. Just be mindful with the back of your legs. Sometimes it's nice to think of them like seat belts. You know, when you get in the car and you yank and it's like, I'm not moving. And then we have to go, all right, I'm going to be really nice and gentle, and then it comes. A little bit like the back of our legs. So when we fold in, again, lift tall, exhale, fold, and just ease in. Try not to do any of this kind of action. It won't get us anywhere any quicker, except maybe towards an injury potentially. Breathe into the space that you have. Exhale, move into that space. Ready to release. Inhale, coming up. Changing sides. Remember, don't just assume it will be the same on the other side. So right leg is long, left foot is to the inner thigh. Lifting tall. Exhaling as we fold over the right side now. Lead with the heart rather than the chin. A little halfway lift. A little melt back in. Walk the hands back up. Re-lift, re-lengthen. Try and make sure we fold from here rather than here. There will be some level of rounding in the spine, but our fold should always hinge at the hips. Exhale as you take that final melt in for the last couple of breaths. And inhale to rise out. We're going to now take our wide leg forward fold now. So taking the legs out to the side, and they don't necessarily need to go as wide as you can possibly get them. Our hip sockets are all made up completely different from one another, and certain hips will allow certain ranges of movement. Mine personally don't allow a complete fold because they're quite deep in the ball, and then it doesn't get to move quite so much, unfortunately for me. Some of you might find that you're kissing the ground, in which case, one, I'm super jealous, and two, well done. But if you are like me and a little bit more rigid around these kind of poses, then just ease in, be soft to yourself. Take your body as far as it wants to go. Don't ever force anything in our practice. So use the breath, feet are flexed, find the length, and breath by breath as you exhale, you can maybe start to walk the hands down. Now we're going to hold this one for about 10 breaths. And so just let your body start to go with the exhalations, let it melt. Now we're about halfway through, so maybe a little release might be quite nice. And then on the exhalation, maybe folding in just that little bit further for the last few breaths. Whenever you are ready, slowly start to walk the hands up towards the body and bring in those legs in now. Inhale, lift and lengthen through the spine. Reach the arms up. As you exhale, cactus the arms, bend at the elbows and just lift through that chest. Keep your heart space lifted as you close your palms together. As we take A little moment of pause before we close. I'm going to bow forwards now and close this practice together. Thank you for joining me for your forward folds. I hope you found them quite calming. And yeah, feel free to add them in at any point of your day, even if we're not practicing together. Thank you, and I'll see you shortly.